Welcome. What we're going to do today is we're going to factor quadratic expressions. Now this is the general form for a quadratic expression, ax squared plus bx plus c. A, b, and c are real numbers. They can be positive or negative or zero, except for in the first position here. Every quadratic expression has to have an x squared term in it, so this a cannot be zero. And in particular, factoring today, we're only going to consider the case where the coefficient a from the x squared term is a 1. Now to get us started, we want to do a little bit of a review of multiplication. So let's take a look at this multiplication. The reason we're going to look at this multiplication is because we're going to use it to check our answers when we factor expressions like this. Now this is a binomial. It has two terms. This is a binomial. It has two terms. So I'm multiplying a binomial by a binomial. And you may recall the FOIL rule. You may have heard the term FOIL before. Well, to perform this multiplication, we begin by multiplying the first term in this binomial by the first term in that binomial. F is the first letter in the word FOIL. X times x is x squared. We then multiply the outer terms. The outer terms are the terms furthest left and the terms furthest right. So furthest left I have x. Furthest right I have 5. 5 times x gives me 5x. We then multiply the inner terms, the terms that are in the center. So I multiply 2 times x. This is my inner multiplication. That gives me 2x. And finally, we multiply the last terms. 2 is the last term in this binomial. 5 is the last term in this binomial. And 2 times 5 gives me 10. Notice I have 4 terms here, and each corresponds to a different letter in the word FOIL. X squared is the F product. This is the O product, the I product, and the L product. If we can combine terms, we usually combine the outer and the inner terms. So I have a 5x here and a 2x there. I can combine the terms, so let's go ahead and do that. I have x squared, 5x and 2x gives me 7x plus 10, and we're finished with the multiplication using the FOIL rule. Now there is an observation that we should make here, which is the following. Look at this x squared term. When its coefficient is 1, then we can make the following connection between this quadratic and this factored form. Notice that the 2 and the 5 add to 7, which is the coefficient of the middle term, and they multiply. 2 times 5 gives me 10, the constant term. This will always be the case when we factor trinomials like this and the coefficient of the x squared term is a 1. Now factoring, as you may have guessed already, is going to go this way. We're going to start with a quadratic like this, and we're going to reverse this process. We're going to have to find these two numbers that will add to the 7, or the coefficient of the middle term, and multiply to give me the constant term.